grab the back of the neck, you can heal people.
Yeah.
And so one of my friends did that last night, and I'm like, I didn't consent to this, and I jumped off the cliff and died. And they're like, I just wasted 40 health on that idiot.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Pointless Discourse with myself, Hoppocalypse, and Itisdpayne.
Hello. I couldn't think of anything fun to say for the movie because I pretty much watched it a week ago now. But
No, you were ultra prepared.
I was like, seafood.
All I know is that I thought you told me there'd be an elevator scene, and I was like, wow, there's no elevators in any of these buildings.
No. The elevator scene's in the third movie.
Okay. I kept thinking it was going to happen in this movie, and I was like, there's a rooftop, there's a street, there's a rooftop, there's a banquet hall, I guess is the best equivalent for his one thing. And I was like, wow, I don't think boxing would win against martial arts, but okay.
That's why you have to do what the British normally do and cheat.
But yeah, if you haven't figured it out from the title of this, we are continuing with watching Ip Man. This is the second movie in the series, and wow, we're already into April for our watching 12 directors for this year.
We're into April without it even being in April.
The timeline! No!
Heck with the timeline! Ha ha ha! Yeah, no, I was just saying this at work yesterday too. I'm like, I can't believe April for the date the recording in like 4 days.
It feels like time is moving too fast and too slow at the same time.
Yeah.
Every day there are new horrors, and yet time is like, I blink and it's like, hey, remember all the things you said you wanted to get done this year? Well, you missed the boat. I'm like, wow. Cool.
Yeah, like at the time of this recording, people have between 18 to 19 days, because I'm not good at the math right now, to finish their taxes.
Yeah, I did see that all of my refunds have officially shown up.
Yeah.
Which means I'm really probably just going to funnel all of that to... So I hope the quote still holds. But before the new year, I got a quote for a new hot water heater because we haven't changed ours since we moved in, and they already told us it was kind of old. They quoted us about $4,000. So all of my refunds just going to go towards that. Whee!
Yeah, well, at least it's not like... I don't know. It's not like you're taking a whole bunch of money out of something else. It's just like, okay, well, and easy in, and there it goes.
Yeah, if I never had it to spend with, it's almost like it never happened.
Yeah. Well, it was a nice thing because this year, with the help of the frequent listener, it's like the first year that I've had a budget sheet that I'm following. Oh, we sound so old. That
House repairs and budgeting, baby.
Yeah. So, but it's neat because like the tax stuff came in. I owed money, and I was like, oh man, this is poop. And I'm like, well, it is what it is. Let's pay it off. And then I was looking at it, and I'm like, wait a second. I technically didn't lose anything because all the money that I saved from the past 2 months, even with the electric company trying to screw me over, was paid. And so it's just like, oh, I had the money there. So technically, even though I went over the amount for this month, I'm still good for the year.
Clap, 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 clap.
Yeah. The other fun thing was, I meant to tell you this before we started recording. I had fun arguments, big air quotes, with AT&T yesterday. I was so slow at work that I called them up and be like, will you fix this? Pretty much they were like, hey, you're being charged for the internet that you got from us. And I'm like, I don't have your internet.
Because you tried it from them for like...
I tried it for like 30 minutes, had trouble loading a YouTube video and downloading a like 50 megabyte game off of Steam.
Yeah, I know Verizon tried to convince me to borrow their stuff too. And they're like, but you could be saving so much money. I play video games and I use that internet and I'm fine. And I'm like, I work in tech. You don't stop.
Yeah. Like, I knew it wasn't going to work for what I wanted, but I'm like, you know what? Hey,
I'll entertain it. Yeah.
let me give it a shot, because if it works, excellent. That cuts my internet bill in half. And then, so I did that, and so, but what I found out is, like, I keep getting emails from them. It's like, hey, you got to return your equipment. And they start charging me money. And I'm like, none of it was paid. I'm like, what's going on here? So yesterday an email came in. It's like, I'm literally doing nothing at work. I call them up and I'm like, hey, what's going on here? Like, I returned the equipment, like, the day, like, within the allotment time. And they're like, they were looking up and they're like, oh, you didn't cancel the service. And I'm like, I couldn't. Like, it wasn't on anything. Like, it wasn't on my account. I looked. And the salesperson never told me I had to call in and cancel cancel the service. Like, all I was told to do was
Return the equipment.
Return the equipment, and you're good. And he's like, oh, let me send you to the billing department. I'm like, okay. So they sent me to the billing department, and, well, like, I realized what they were trying to do at first, because they're just like, is there a way you can, like, are you able to pay this bill, like, now? And I'm like, nope. Because I'm like, I'm not paying for something I didn't use. And I was like, oh, if we get the money in there, it's like, oh, cool. Then it was just like, we can move on. And I'm like, nope, I don't have a way. I did. But no, I don't have a way to pay for this. And they're just like, I understand. Let me send you to the billing department. And I told them, and he's like, yeah, you owe this. And I'm like, no, this is what happened. No one told me I had to contact you guys to cancel the service I didn't want. I didn't say that, but I wanted to.
Basically, yeah.
And yeah, so he's like, okay. And he took the numbers and everything. And he's like, when did you return it? And I'm like, pretty much week 1 of January. And he's like, okay.
Did they give you a receipt for returning it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I lost it, and then I reached into this backseat of my car, and I pulled out the receipt, and I'm like,
heck yeah.
I need you. And so I told them, and then the guy's like, I need 2 to 3 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. But, like, in my head, I was like, I could have a truck show up at any time. Like, I hope they finish up. And then they, like, call us, like, sir, we need another 2 to 3 minutes. I'm like, yeah, no problem. And I'm like, this could be a problem. And then it keeps going. And then finally the guy's like, sir, we found it. We took it off. If you could stay on the line for 2-3 more minutes.
For a survey?
Yeah. Well, like, they wanted to sell me stuff. And we're just like, yeah. In the back of my, like, they were pretty much, hey, we did this. We're taking off all the charge for that, because, and I'm like, you better. But it's like, and I'm like, yeah, thank you. It's like, okay, could we ask you a few questions? And then it's like, yeah, we just want to look at your billing history. And I'm like, I've only had your account for like 3 months. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. So they go and look, and they're just like, oh yeah, if you want to pay like $5 or $10 more, you can get a new smartphone. And I'm like, nope, I'm good with my price, and I'm good with my phone, even though I am looking to replace it. But it's still.
But you don't want to be stuck with them, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just like, all right. And then he's like, okay, yeah, I understand. Well, I did everything I could, and it's just, I'm like, yeah, I know. It's just. So, yeah. So now I should stop getting AT&T emails about something I returned 4 months ago.
Good for you for standing up for yourself and not just going, I guess I'll pay it to get you guys out of my hair. Because no. They purposely set that up so it's hard to cancel and it's awkward, and people accidentally are just like, oh, I'll just pay whatever this is because it's,
Yeah. No, I didn't pay it because
you shouldn't.
I returned it on the last day possible. I was like, this is the last day they said I could return it. And so it is. And then finally, after months of the money kept going up and up and up, and they're like, we're canceling your service. And I'm like, what service?
What was this?
And so it was just one of those things where it's like, you owe us $200. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done with it. Yo, nerd lords. That's my favorite thing to type when I'm playing Repo. It's like fart lords and saying all that.
I've watched videos where people just type like a single vowel, so it's like
Yeah.
e.
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
I was playing Repo with friends the other day, and you know the clown that shoots lasers? We
Yes.
were all under the same table. I said, I bet you won't kiss his foot. And one of them was like, oh, I'll do it. So they went up and kissed his foot, and he kicked them. And then her husband was like, why did he kick me too? And it's like, because they were next to each other under like
Yeah.
the small like round table. And I was laughing, and while I was laughing, he lasered into the table, so all four of us died at the same time in the very beginning of the mission.
Yeah, we were playing last night, and I'm just like, yeah, here we go, blah blah blah, and I'm just like going through the door, I explode and died, and I'm just like, what the heck?
What
And
was it?
it was that the guy that looks like No Face that just charges through you.
Yeah.
He literally was sitting on the other side of the door,
And you
there's
happened to open it, yeah.
yeah, well, like I just because I'm like I treat that game the same way I treat Lethal Company. I don't care. I just run through just like yeah, blah blah blah, blah. Like na 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 na, and it's just like all of a sudden I just explode and die, and then I'm just like, well, this is what tonight's gonna be, and then I was just goofing around, and then I purposely I'm like, you know what, I don't really care, like because everyone's like buying upgrades and all that stuff. I'm like, I want the fun upgrades.
Yeah.
But I don't want like strength upgrades or all that other stuff. I'm just like, you can do pretty much most of the stuff, and if everyone else is getting all the strength things, so like, we were trying to get this piano up the stairs, and I was like, because three of us were dead, we all get revived. And I was like, hey, let's get this piano, stick it on the cart, and go away. And so me and Knight go down there to get the piano, and then we turn around. I was like, where's everyone else? Like everyone else just ran off, and we're like, really? Like we just, it's like we could have. It was $30,000, and
Oh
would
my
have covered
goodness.
the thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
I know. What was it? There was Strider and I were playing like 2-player, and I was like, I know I've heard terrible things about this duck. And the duck was like following him for a while, and then it followed me, and I was like, okay, I can hear the duck, but it must be behind me because I don't see it in front of me. So I opened up like this cabinet, and I counted to like 5, and the duck wasn't in front of me. And then as soon as I went to grab something in the cabinet, he jumped in front of my face, and then he did his thing, and I just stood there, and I was like, wow. And then while I was dead, Strider was like, you bastard, you killed her, you bastard, I told you to leave me alone. I was like, oh, at least he's having fun. But there was a time the other night I was playing with the group of 4. Like I said, it was like a wife and husband. And I had run away from the big floating head. And like I got away from it. And he turned right when I turned left. And I felt confident. And then I went into another room. And I turned around. And it was like the little head with 4, like that was like all arms that just sprinted at me. And I went, who the hell? And then when I'm dead, I hear the wife laughing, going, explaining that she was like, she saw me just turn into the room and then explode, and I was like, oh, at least they're having fun.
Yeah, it was. Well, this is how I play. Like, because you grab the back of the neck, you can heal people.
Yeah.
And so one of my friends did that last night, and I'm like, I didn't consent to this, and I jumped off the cliff and died. And they're like, I just wasted 40 health on that idiot. I'm like,
Yeah. Were you there the night when we were playing Phasmophobia and I had a running storyline about the ghost being into cars?
this sounds familiar.
Yeah. I don't remember which platform I was streaming on, but I remember it was at least J2 and JR, who have both been guests on the podcast at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And we were going through in Phasmophobia, and there was a car magazine next to the toilet, so I was like making fun of the ghost and saying like, because I had like, I think I had the radio or for some or other reason, but I was making fun of him saying like, oh, you're into cars, like you can be into whatever you want to, but like keep it in the bedroom, don't put it out in the public bathroom where everyone's gonna see it. And then like J2 and JR did get killed by the ghost because I was shouting at it and they were next to me and they got killed next to me. So then at one point, I don't remember if the last person was alive or I was the last person alive, but I went to run from the ghost and I died in a bathroom. And I hear laughing when I turn into, like when I'm in the like dead voice chat. And I look around, I said, what's so funny, you guys? And J2 and JR were like, look in the bathroom. And I turn around, it's the Car Magazine bathroom. And one of the last things I remember saying before the ghost killed me was like, what are you into? Is it SUVs? Is it sedans? Is it is it the tailpipe? And then I go, no, he killed me in his bathroom.
He's like, well, let me tell you, since you're so interested.
Yeah. But Phasmophobia, like you said, like I feel like Phasmophobia and Lethal Company, you either are really good at it or you play it and you know you're gonna die.
Oh yeah.
I think Repo's a little bit more forgiving of a game because you can actually hide and you can technically hurt the enemies. Like I watched Strider use a trophy cup and beat up somebody, and I was like, that's actually really entertaining. I like throwing the gnomes against the wall.
Yep. Yeah, with Repo, there's like, you can tell who plays a lot and who plays once a week. I am the once a week player that I just go in for goofs. And then we had a guy last night that was like pretty much carried us until like round 8.
Oh,
like
wow.
it just like we played like one game, like one run for like 3 hours. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, how much do you have to play this to do what you're doing? I don't know. I guess if I wasn't stuck in Elden Ring, I could also do that. I'm so close to being free.
You're playing the games.
It's been a half a year of my life. Just stuck in this dumb game. Now you understand why people like it, but I hate open world games so much. But that's not what we're talking about.
I had a segue in mind and you ruined it. I was going to ask who the last boss you fought was.
That's a good question. I forget.
Because I was going to say, do you think Ip Man would beat that boss?
Ip Man he would beat everybody.
Yeah.
He would he's written not to lose.
He's One Punch Man, essentially.
He does a lot of punches.
He does a lot of punches. He's no kick man.
Yeah. In this movie, yeah, he's no kick man.
All right. So, yeah, there's the segue, everybody. Are you ready to roll dice?
Yes.
We are going to be rolling dice to see who gives a short 1 to 2 sentence summary of Ip Man. This is part of us watching 12 different directors through the year of 2025. And with that, we're rolling a 12-sided dice. Whoever rolls highest gets to be the one that gives a summary, and then we'll answer a few non-spoiler questions before we go into Spoiler Town.
I was doing test rolls.
I think I have to give the summary.
Why? What'd you roll?
A 12.
That beats both of my numbers. I rolled a 3, and then on the other die I rolled a 10.
You're not allowed to talk about your movie for birthday month, apparently.
I'm not allowed to talk for like the past 8 weeks.
No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you talked 5 weeks ago.
There's a lot of use.
Oh, 6 weeks ago.
1, 2. Let's see, how many episodes? We've done 15 episodes. I talked 5 out of this. I gave the intro for 5 of those.
I have been told I have weird luck with dice, and I guess this is proving it. I felt like Gravity Falls, it was much more even than this, but
yeah, maybe my D12s are loaded in wrong ways.
All right, so summary of Ip Man 2. So we pick up, like you said before, this picks up directly after the events of Ip Man 1 to the point where there was a quick summary for us in the beginning, and then an extra scene that I didn't remember happening that, like, feels like it should have been a bigger plot point in this movie, but it wasn't as big of a plot point as I thought it was going to be, but we'll get into that in Spoiler Town. And then we basically follow him as he tries to open up a martial arts school in Hong Kong and has to deal with, once again, foreign nationals and other martial arts leaders as they're trying to navigate post-occupation China. What year does Hong Kong become like a British thingy? I forget what they call it. Is it sovereign? Is
sovereign state, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know why 65 is
standing out to you.
Let's find out. Hong Kong Wikipedia History. British colonization. That's very far away. The colony was further expanded in 1898 when the United Kingdom obtained a 99-year lease for the new territories.
Sorry, the idea of leasing a region is wild. People lease cars.
Hong Kong was occupied by Japan for almost 4 years until it resumed back under British control of 1945.
Okay, which lines up with them leaving Foshan.
Yeah,
how it's pronounced.
I don't know off the top of my head.
But where Ip Man was from.
Yeah, and then let's
So
see. I don't know why 1960. Like, I think it was just a year.
Okay, so it was British laid claim to it in like the 1800s, and then Japan occupied, and then it went back to the British immediately after. It seems.
Yeah, pretty much during World War II, and then that's why all those riots in Hong Kong were happening back in whatever it was called, I think like 10 years ago.
Yeah, like recent history.
Yeah, because they didn't want to go back to China, even though it's supposed to be what was going on. But oh, well, it is what it is.
History lessons in our kung fu movies. I wonder if I look up a Letterboxd review, if I'll once again, is this Chinese propaganda?
Probably. I feel like all these movies could be considered by...
Imagine a movie created or published by the Mandarin Film Committee is pro-China. Who would have thought?
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's one of those things, as I said, and like, when you learn history, you're like, oh, it makes sense why they do what they do.
Yeah, but yeah, so I think that's... Do you think I missed anything from the summary? This one is a lot less plot-driven. It's a very, like... It's a more contained story than the first one.
Yeah, this one, it definitely feels... Like, there's some... If this one feels a lot more like a kung fu movie than the first one did, where it was like, we want kung fu fights in our kind of like mixed with history. Mm-hmm. And I think pretty much like, yeah, the first movie was like a take on there, and I believe after this one it's just like, we know where he was, but here's like, let's expand on it. You know what this is?
Oh,
honestly?
Is this more of a dramatization? Because I know at the very end they do the reveal that ends up being like a very famous person, and even in Western culture. But
yeah, well, that is true. Like,
I know that is true.
Well, he pretty much, because I think I was reading it later, and we can talk about it. But when he meets that person, it's like that interaction is pretty close to the historical record of their interaction. Mm-hmm. I do think the character's a little bit younger.
He was quite young in the end of the movie, yeah. He just did his signature move with his nose, and I went, aha, yes.
Yeah, it's like, if you didn't know, even though we say his name. But there was something else with this one. Now I remember, because last time we were talking about, it was like, the numbers. Well, Ip Man 1 is yet. And then
learning to count, yes. So
yes, two. There's two different ways to say it. It could be like E or Leon. I'm probably butchering that a little bit. And this is where I get mixed up, because 3 and 4 are very similar. One is, I might be switching them, but it's like 3 is Sam and 4 is Sa.
Well, you have another week to double check your 3 and 4.
Yeah, and then 5 is Go. But we don't have...
We're not watching that many movies.
Yeah.
Are there that many Ip Man movies? I know there's side movies.
Fourth is the last one.
Okay.
Fourth is the last one with the Donnie Yen.
Okay.
Which, reading the history, he didn't want to do the fourth one, but they kind of talked about it, and they came back to finish pretty much bring a close to it. Because I think he didn't want to constantly just be playing Ip Man.
Yeah, it's a typecast, you know.
Yeah.
All right. So are you ready for questions?
Yeah. So, if this was the only movie from this director that you watched, would you watch the rest of the catalog? Be honest now.
Probably. But I mean, in comparison to the first movie, I mean, again, it's not fair because the way the question is posed. But like, the first movie is like, oh, I definitely watched the rest of their catalog. This one is also good, but like you said, this one's definitely more of a kung fu movie. And for me, it's not that I don't like kung fu movies. It's just this one. It did feel like there were moments where I was like, I almost wish they leaned a little bit more into the political stuff because they did little things like they did the like working with the police, they did a little bit with British people, but I feel like it wasn't enough for me to have the same stakes as the first one. Because like I know they wanted to emphasize like the differences in the cultures, but again, it didn't. Either it was too contrasting where I was like, the British don't feel like real people. It almost feels like a satire of British people, which is also like maybe the point. But it got to the point where I was just like, why would he agree to go to China if he's this racist?
I
Like,
was waiting for him to go full Frieza.
I know, like his acting was so over the top. Like he hinted at being racist by like saying a slur to them, right? Like commenting on the color of their skin. But then I was like, okay, so are we gonna lean into it? But then after that he goes, I hear you do silly little rituals. I was like, this doesn't sound like a sentence anyone's ever said out loud.
This it really feels like a Call of Cthulhu campaign where people are like, I don't know how they actually interacted. Let's do this, even though it's like. Which then again, it is written from the Chinese perspective, and so who knows? Like this could be like just like our outsider viewpoint, where it's like, oh no, probably was like at that point, but
They could be their viewpoint of them.
yeah,
Yeah,
it could have been.
yeah. It
Yeah.
just feels like the police officer for the British fit for me. Like that I could expect, but the boxer, I was just like, I know they want to make a showy sports star look annoying, but wow, is he hard to listen to?
Yeah.
What about you?
He's like, what? When he's like, I heard you guys do this. I will fight anyone, but that's too small. And I'm just like, oh man, I'm glad this is a year like a British person.
But yeah, same question to you. If this is the only movie, would you watch the rest of their catalog?
No, I'm just joking.
Spoilers.
I don't know. There's because I do like a kung fu movie every once in a while, and as a kung fu movie, I think it is fun. An action film. Yeah, this one feels a lot more on the action rather than the stuff's going. There is life happening around them. I can't remember. I'm realizing the third one because I was looking up a little bits and pieces of it. There is. I did watch the third one, but apparently there's a person in the third one that is a very like worldwide known, and I've seen clips of the fight that Donnie Yen and him have. Don't even remember him in the movie.
Oh, you did mention this to me because you're like you couldn't remember if it was the third or fourth movie.
Yeah,
that
it
this
is in the
person
third
appeared.
one. It's
Oh,
in the
okay.
third one. I found that out like this week. 'Cause I
So
was
what?
looking
After the
things up.
second one, they said, "Oh, let's bring in a real." I think you
It's-
told me who it is. I don't want to spoil it for myself,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, but he's in there, and it's just like I honestly just don't remember him in the movie at all. But it's just like, but that being said, I did like this. I did enjoy it. I think in the first movie we saw like kind of the brutality of the martial arts. In this one, it feels like we see a lot more of the fantasy elements that get shown in movies. Like there's, and we'll get into it, where it's just like a lot of the fights I think are
there's
a
some
lot
questionable
more,
physics. Yeah.
yes, questionable physics, but a lot like it feels like there's a very clear art choice going on for some of these fights, and like because everyone, it's funny because like on Xiaohun show like for this week I've just been seeing multiple like people taking the first 10-man fight in Ip Man and like remaking it and all this stuff, and like not with people but with like action figures with drawings and like all this stuff, and it was really cool to watch. And so I'm like, is there something like close to history like with that I just don't know or forgotten with all this? But because there's just like a ton of Ip Man stuff, and all that being said was like in the first movie, it definitely felt like we saw the anger and the rage of Ip Man.
The stakes were very like
Were a lot higher.
the stakes were higher, and I think the build up, even though it was like not perfect build up, it felt very like fast. Like you kind of blink and you're like, oh, everybody's dead now. But
Yeah.
I do think his escalation in character makes a lot more sense in 1, whereas 2, I was just like, this just feels like East versus West versus like an actual like build up of anger.
It feels like Rocky 4.
I was saying to Strider that like some of the scenes in this made me think like, oh, did they like watch or talk about like the Thrilla and Manila boxing match and like wanted to recreate everybody sitting by the radio like listening to the boxing match? Like,
it's again, it felt like there was two different things here, and it felt like it should have focused on like and this is us hindsight looking at this, but it's just like it felt like they tried to take on too many different things. So it's
yeah,
like
I
it
would have
felt like it
preferred
should
if
have
they
been either gone against the police or gone against the martial arts community that was set in there. Because like in the first half of the movie, it was starting to do that, and then they kind of like forgive each other and move on. But then it's like, oh yeah, we kind of get hints, but it's just like Ip Man doesn't really care about this guy until like
he's had like 5 minutes of respect for each other.
Yeah, and like honestly, there's a more interesting story between him and I'm blanking on his name, Hung Chun-man, who's the guy who's says he's suffering from asthma. I don't know if he was actually, which it's like, but anyway, he
Oh yeah, there was a point where Ip Man's like, your eyes are red, and I went to start. I was like, what drugs do I think he's on? Oh, they've been red since I woke up. But I guess asthma makes sense because they hint at him being out of breath and all these different things. But I just, yeah, like
it felt like choose a direction and go with it, not try to do both.
Yeah, the relationships weren't that built up, and I think like this one also relied quite a bit on you remembering all the characters from the previous movie. Because at some points I had to pause and like look them up on IMDb because like good for the makeup department because I didn't recognize everybody off the bat, but also I was like, he's really invested in this guy. Oh, it's that guy.
Yeah, I couldn't remember who he was, and I'm like,
Yeah.
he's one of the dudes. But yeah, there's
Like, still a good movie, but not as strong. Yeah.
it felt like for what they wanted to do, the movie should have had another like half hour or something like that to do
really
both.
invest the time in caring about them. So then a question for you, Dpayne, speaking of this, how much did you root for the characters?
That boxer man, dude, definitely.
Ouch.
No. Let's see.
I mean, you have to root for Ip Man.
I
It's a
root for Ip
requirement.
Man. Yes.
They wanted me to care about the guy from the first movie.
Jin. I was like, as soon as he came back, I'm like, I know I'm hearing about this.
And then they want me to care about him. And then they even went like, oh, I'm deaf in this ear thanks to you. And I was like, yeah, because you were like a butthead. Like, just because you got a wife and kids who has a bunch of cash money walking around for some reason doesn't make you a good guy suddenly.
Yeah. And his reasoning is like, because it tells about the other person, like, oh yeah, he's wild like I used to be. What you need to do is find him a woman and kids. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, so they want us to root for him. They want us to root for his quote-unquote first pupil, even though he wasn't going to be his pupil, and he was only going to be his pupil if he sicked 3 of his friends on Ip Man to prove, and then he's like, oh, call me Big Brother, because I'm the first pupil. I was like, you didn't even want to pay the school fees. You ran away crying after you got your butt beat, but whatever. I had trouble rooting for him.
Yeah.
I had trouble rooting for, like you said, the other master who had the asthma. I had trouble rooting for any of the other kung fu masters because they just like all we got from them was, wow, this guy thinks he's so cool too. Oh, this guy's a badass, and then all to like, oh, I heard people are betting he's gonna like lose in 2 punches. I was like, guys, like, how am I supposed to like any of you?
Yeah, like Ip Man was, but like pretty much those guys were like, okay, comic relief, but also let's show how strong Wing Chun is.
Yeah, like yeah. So then like, yeah. I was gonna say so. I was gonna make a joke, but that'd be Spoiler Town joke, so I'll save it for Spoiler Town. But yeah, I really just wanted to root for Ip Man, even though he put his son to work when they couldn't pay rent.
Yeah, get to work.
Make
Earn
those
your
posters.
keep. Yeah, you drew in the first movie. You can do it again in this one.
Yeah, I didn't pay attention to your beautiful art in the first movie, so now I'm gonna pay attention to it by making you do physical labor for me.
So I feel like we kind of played our hand a little bit, but what grade would you give the plot?
I think this one, like, a C.
That's where I would sit.
It's not a bad plot. It's just it could use a little bit like there was a I think in the gaps of time that they wanted to show off the scenes, like the first fish market fight where it felt like they did a lot of panning shots to establish like all of the equipment they were going to destroy. Like you could tell the budget in this one went crazy. But rather than taking the time to show off like that scene, I also thought the fish market scene was a little long for what it needed to be.
Yeah.
They could have done a little bit more dialogue to make me like a little bit more invested. I have a question for you since you've watched more movies from like kind of like this viewpoint, like you've watched more kung fu movies and things like that. Do they have a rule for the length of movie? Because I noticed Ip Man 1 and 2 are almost identical length.
I think most kung fu, like what we would call kung fu movies, they would just call action movies. So they would, I think they're normally mainly focused on the actions, and normally, because they, unless it's like a Tom Cruise movie, old Middle Tooth, he, most of those movies are about like between 90 to like right around the average 90-minute mark, and I think that's what it is here as well. Cause
Yeah, I was just curious because I know like I'll watch all types of movies. Like I'll watch Hallmark movies, and almost all Hallmark movies, they're like, when we make a movie, it has to be this length because they account for like commercials, they account for like this, and they account for that. They also, I believe, it was revealed that Hallmark even has a rule like if the main characters are gonna kiss, they have to kiss at this minute mark. So then everyone has to write to that. So I was curious if like for Ip Man 2, they like it's one of those like there it felt like this one had more empty space in it, and I was curious if that's because there's a run time expected for movies out of certain studios.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. I just looked, and all his movies are about one point, like they're about an hour and 45 minutes, like for Ip Man. It looks like all his movies are kind of like that. I'm like looking at it because like I just wanted to watch Ip Man, but
No,
like
that's fine, yeah.
looking at like the general score for his movies, most of them are like around 5 stars and stuff, which compared to some of the other ones that we're watching are just like way up there. But it is what it is. It's like I don't know, like now I'm just curious, like
We don't need to have an answer right now, but just
oh, I
was wondering if you knew.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I was gonna look up something else because my brain thought of it. But while I do that, how likely would you recommend this movie to others?
I'd still recommend it to people. It's a good action movie, and it does have a lot of those roller coaster is not the right word for this one, but it has those typical kind of like beats of like I know I unintentionally laughed at various scenes that I don't think were supposed to be funny, but were a bit silly to me. But there are like there's a little humor, there's a lot of action, there's a little bit of like, oh god, that's terrible, let's beat him up. So I think it does well on its story beats, even though the overall plot I thought was fine.
Yeah. what I was looking up to see like pretty much what is like what the best martial arts directors are, and he is on this list mainly for this movie, for these sets of movies, but it's but he does produce a lot of stuff. Like I think a movie that he produced, which I mentioned last week, Twilight of the Warriors, it is a more fantastical take of like kind of what we see here, but I think the pacing and everything is a lot better.
Okay.
But there's a completely different movie that I forgot that it cracks me up. It's a Thai movie where they do Muay Thai.
Is that the one where they kick rocks? I know there's one famous one that like my sister was really into where they kick the rocks across the screen.
Maybe I can't remember.
It has like OK in the title, but I couldn't remember like.
I don't know. I know there's Ong Bak.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah.
ONG dash BAK. Yeah, so like I remember watching this one and it cracked me up because it was definitely one of those like a scene where they're like, we only can do this once, so get like as many camera angles on here as possible. And it's pretty much like this truck goes by and then it explodes. But while it explodes, they go like the main actor has to like, I think he like runs and like slides underneath it on his knees and then explodes, and it just shows. Actually, I don't even know if it explodes, but they like show this scene and it's like 8 different things, and they show like all the different angles on the same screen. It's like, look how cool this is, and I remember just cracking up looking at it. But yeah, it's.
No, I don't think it was Ong Bak. I don't know what movie I keep thinking of. I thought there's like a poster and like the character is kicking a large boulder across the screen, but that's okay. We are bleeding a lot into war time.
Yeah.
So
we'll blame AT&T.
Recommend movies to others, would you?
Yeah, I think this would be a more fun movie with a group of people.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think just reacting, having fun, laughing at, and just cheering and enjoying everything is, yeah, I think there's a lot more enjoyable with like a group of people. Where the first one, it's like, all right, I'm getting my history and a little bit. This one's like much more kung fu. It feels like a lot more things. So we'll see. We'll see what they learn when we get to the third one. But are we ready for Spoiler Town?
Spoiler Town. Choo choo.
Toot toot. Oh, as my phone shuts off. Setting the timer now.
All right. So the joke I was gonna make, now that we're officially in Spoiler Town, and if anyone wants to watch the movie, turn back now. All I've learned from Ip Man is don't be a competing martial arts master in the same timeline as Ip Man.
Yep.
You are the dead wife trope. Your turning point is you will die for Ip Man to realize his full potential.
Yeah, don't be his friend.
Don't be a colleague that you fought with and then suddenly gained respect for, because you will either get shot or punched to death.
Mm-hmm. I will say there's a little bit of confusing things because the whole point. So yeah, that it leads into what you were just saying. So the big dude, the old man, I'm blanking on his name.
You looked it up a little bit ago.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Hung Chung Nam. He was pretty much he goes in to fight this fight, and like he very much does, like, if anyone's watched Rocky 4, like there's so many things that it really feels like they watched Rocky 4 and they're like,
I haven't watched Rocky at all, and I know I live like I can get into Philly with very little.
I almost put Rocky on here because I felt like it would have been the Philadelphian thing to do, but I didn't.
I've also never been in the art museum for all the times I've been in Philly.
Me neither. But I don't go to Philly too often. But yeah, so Ip Man and Hung, they're talking and they have different reasons for like getting to this fight, and there's a part where he's about to throw in the towel to be like, oh, let me save Hung. He's like, he's got this family who cares about like your honor, like he like do all this, and he says this line where he's just like, I can put up with all like the dishonor they show me and everything, but once they like dishonor martial arts, I have to like that is the one thing I have to like I don't remember the exact line, but it's like that is what I have that's where I make my
Stand
stand.
up for it, yeah.
And that's the line that like pretty much flips Ip Man's like kind of neutral stance into because like in this whole movie like he even tells his first student
It's better to be neutral.
it's
than,
better to be
yeah.
neutral than take a side, and his neutrality is what kind of gets him like because he won't pretty much make a stand like either way. He's just like, no, this is what we're focused on, we're doing everything, which is why like all this other stuff and like everything that he makes a stand on, it's like it doesn't make sense. He's like, no, I'm not gonna pay, which it makes sense, but it's just like it's like, no, I'm not giving you the money because like one, I don't have it, but two, it's like no, like this is
It did give racketeering scheme. Like,
yeah.
it'd be a shame if something terrible happened to you while you didn't pay for this stuff. And I was like, that's kind of weird.
To be fair, he got a better deal. Now he gets to train him like in a public area. It doesn't have to pay like he doesn't have to pay rent.
Yeah.
So
Not that they could afford rent.
yeah. So anyway, all that goes on, and he goes, and when he's going to do the fight against the boxer, like that's like the line that he's just sitting there, like after it's like, no, you can't kick anymore, you can't do whatever.
Yeah, naturally, Western culture goes, oh, he's losing because he's getting kicked. What if we make it so the martial artist isn't allowed to use his feet? It's like if you were going to do boxing rules, you should have done boxing rules in the beginning, not just arbitrarily change them. But you know what? Just cheat, because you know that's what you want to do. Because totally in boxing, you can throw people across the ring and nobody calls that out for points. I've watched a lot of boxing growing up. I'm sorry, I am Filipino.
Good. You're not supposed to punch the back of the head, and they did that anyway in this movie.
Yeah,
both sides.
He punched after the ring.
Yeah, yeah, and they stop the guys like when he's winning, lets the round go longer. And then when he gets hit a couple times, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's the line like when he gets hit and all that stuff, and like he's just like, oh yeah, where and he kind of gets that line played back in his head. Just again, it's just like I can't let them dishonor my martial arts. And then he kind of like the switch flips, and he just like goes and just like boom, 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 and like destroys the guy in like 30 seconds to the point where it's like no, but not even like the corrupt like referees and stuff can really say anything. To immediately go and he's like, oh, we want you to give a speech, and he's like, I didn't come in here to prove what side was right or wrong. And it's just like, yeah, you did. You came in here because your friend died.
You had a motivation to prove that you shouldn't do this. So I did think it's an interesting look into, like you said, like media is like different telescopes of perspectives, right? Because like in this they also talk about like modesty being very important, and that's why they don't like the British guy. I was like, that modesty is not the only reason you don't like this British guy. You also dislike that he's racist. You just won't say he's racist, but you know, like and that they're like taking advantage and they're colonizers. Like there's a lot of things, but regardless. But yeah, like Ip Man's like choices of neutrality, do you know if that's him as a character, or is that the lens of the culture at the time for Chinese media?
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. I know you've read up on different things. I didn't know if.
I do know that it seems like not just with Wing Chun, there's a lot of stuff where, like, here's a more, I guess, like modern example where it's Kung Fu Panda 2, I think it is, where they tell him that it's like the reason why you're not like doing well is that you're not like Poe's like not like water where water flows and is able to, it's not stiff like a board, but like
okay,
and so that's kind of what I know from what I've read and observed, and I could be wrong, but it's like that's kind of what a lot of martial arts, at least from their kind of shares, is we're not meant to have these hard stances, like, and this could also go alongside with like kind of Buddhist beliefs, where it's just like my very elementary understanding of Buddhism is like more just like finding like inner peace, and like you're not that you're supposed to be completely neutral. It's like, yeah, stand up for what's right and everything. Like Gandhi's a good example.
But don't
of
rock
that.
boats.
Yeah, but you're not there to cause trouble and like hurt against other people. Like stand up for what is right, but you're not supposed to be the aggressor. You're supposed to be more like
A protector. Yeah.
And so from what I understand from the things that I've read is that like martial arts is, unless you're the villain, is that is supposed to be your take. They're supposed but the thing is, it's like that's just what media and other stuff wants us to share about. There's like just how like, and like today, like when we see movies, films and stuff, like whether it's not that it's the same concept, but it's like the police, the military that are of America, you're gonna have like the director and the writers want you to see this certain side of it.
Yeah, they have a natural bias depending on like.
But we know that like in any police force or military force, it's like, yes, there are a ton of people that are going to push the limits, go past the limits, turn and twist the rules, but there is just the same amount of people that are like working against that to like do like kind of help the communities and do all that stuff. Like we know there's two sides of the same coin. It's just
it's
what one's getting shown.
Yeah, like Black Klansman, right? It shows
Yeah.
both sides, where there's the argument of like, I'm working from the inside, and then people go, well, there's nobody on the inside that can help us. It's like, but what if there were? But again, unfortunately, with how I understand a lot of things, it's with the, I'm not going to go into all of it, but it's a lot harder nowadays compared to when Black Klansman is set, where that's a true story of him being able to work from the inside. But a lot of different systems in place make it harder for people to change things from the inside, which is, you know, one of those classic, they go, oh, this changed the status quo, let's make sure no one can do that again. It's like, But in any case, yeah, like there's natural biases from whoever is the author or the writer or the director. There's a lot of stylistic choices that they want to impart on people, whether intentionally or not. But yeah, it was just interesting to see. And I was going to mention this to you there as an interesting contrast. Strider started a demo for a game. It feels a little bit like Ip Man because it's called
Sifu?
Force Strike.
Oh, you mentioned Sifu earlier. So
I did mention Sifu earlier, but it was called Force Strike. And in the demo, they let you like play through a fight multiple times, and then it kind of feels like Ip Man because like Ip Man has that natural like almost like precognition in his fights where he can like scan somebody and be able to tell what they're gonna do. And because you can redo the fights over and over in Force Strike, it kind of feels like that. Also, you can throw environmentals and attack people with weapons and break weapons and stuff, so it's kind of cool. The only weird thing we noticed is like with me watching Ip Man, and Ip Man is very much anti like ruling class, right? It's very much from the perspective of like, oh, I was wealthy and now I'm living in poverty, but the people that put me in poverty are keeping me in poverty, and that's not fair. How do I like work through that as a regular citizen? In Force Strike, Strider noticed a line where they go, oh, the only people that can help the poor is the imperial family. And him and I were like, in our kung fu, that's not how kung fu works usually. Kung fu is usually like the oppressors are oppressing us. Let's stop the oppressors.
No, we have to. I'm watching the trailer right now. Is it a Devolver Digital game?
Yeah.
This reminds me a lot of oh shoot, what's that game called? Katana Zero.
I can see that as well. Yeah. So like the systems were kind of cool. There were some nitpicky things in there, but of course we were just playing the demo, so we don't know when the like release is. But yeah, I thought you might be interested in that. But it was just, yeah, like that one, you can tell the writer for that is like, oh, we're pro like imperialists, and Strider and I are like, that's okay. That's not usually what we see in kung fu, but okay.
Whatever you say, buddy.
And yeah, like I said, like I wish they kind of leaned more into it, because they hint at like you kind of brought up police. They hint a little bit at police brutality and like the lack of freedom of press at this time in Hong Kong. But then they like made the guy who was like he's the equivalent of the police officer in the first one where he's working both sides.
Fatso.
Yeah, but
That's literally his name.
Oh, poor guy. But his change of heart made no sense to me.
Yeah.
He was literally like, I didn't get paid today, so I'm going to leak all of the secrets to journalism, or the journalist that I watched get his hand almost broken so he couldn't write anymore. I was like, am I supposed to like you? Because I don't. You didn't give me a chance to like you. At least in the first movie, the quote-unquote traitor, he had a lot of stuff happen before he was like, you know what? Maybe they never liked me. Maybe it wasn't worth the money. It's like, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in the first movie, the guy literally has a black eye and goes, Ip Man, maybe I made a mistake. And Ip Man's like, yeah, you are a traitor. You did make a mistake. Whereas, yeah, in this one, the guy's just like, sir, we shouldn't hurt the journalist. He'll write about us. I'll just kill him. And I was like, why did the British guy believe you?
Yeah. And then, sorry, I'm also laughing because I was looking up the guy who played the... Oh, wait a second. The guy who played the British boxer is dead.
Yeah, he got punched 30 times in the head by Ip Man. Oh, that part was so funny to me, too, where the referee waits until the guy looks like he's like done breathing and goes, 1. I was like, Strider, look, he's bleeding from every pore of his face and this referee's gonna do the 10 count right now. Can't we just call it a KO? Like, what is this?
Yeah, no, he, like the actor, he died 10 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah, like recently. He had a heart attack. Yeah, he was only 42.
Oh, that is really young.
Yeah.
He looked young in the movie, too.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? 2011 this was released?
I think so. That sounds about right. 2010.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I was curious because I was looking through there and I was like, oh, I wonder what if any of these actors are doing now. And like it looks like he still did stuff in there, but let's see. I'm just like, I hope it, because like I don't know, heart attack could be a bunch of different stuff. But yeah, no, he was, because like looking at him, here's his IMDb. But it's just like with long hair, it's just like I have to.
Who
like,
is that?
I know, like I had to double look at him. Darren Chavalani, I think that's how you say his name. But
yeah, it looked like he was acting all the way up until 2017, so or 2015, and his movies were released in 2017, I should say.
Yeah, and then when he was 17 years old, he attended a seminar for Hong Kong style fight choreography by Donnie Yen, and that's when he pursued working in Hong Kong movies as a stepping stone to Hollywood. And then and so then he was a stuntman, and then he got in there. Oh, he's in Riddick and Blade 3. He's in 300. Oh, interesting. He's known for I Spy. I watched that movie. It was a movie. Anyway, but no, I was like, I just saw that. I was like, oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it says that he died in his sleep from a heart attack caused by, I'm not gonna pretend to say this, but it seems where it's like you can get lesions in the walls of your arteries and it's a chronic inflammatory disease. So yeah, it sounds like it's one of those like a bad draw, so to speak.
Yeah. The other thing is just like looking at this picture, he looks like he's a Las Vegas like magician.
Yeah, and it looks really old, but he didn't act that long ago. So why is
Yeah.
that picture like look like it's got the I know who exactly you're talking about, like the guys with the tigers. It has that kind of like feel to it.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess to switch things up. Oh, but also there was some interesting things that like was showed, I guess, like the culture, not just like even though story wise it didn't make sense, but like it was bits and pieces. But there was other small things in there. For example, when we see Hung's whole family that one time, and just like how big his son is, like
His only son.
only son, and just like he has like, I think it's like
7 daughters or something. Yeah.
I think he has 5 daughters, because it shows them all there. Because
when he almost kicks his kid in the face.
Yeah, and Ip Man's like, oh, I have what's that thing Goku got? I forgot. Instant or whatever it's called. Ultra Instinct. That's what it is. He Ultra Instinct that his son was there. He's like, no, you can't punch me. I'm holding your kid. That's the rules. But it's like his kid's like, what, like 5 years old, and probably weighs as much as like 3 of his daughters.
And he's almost like when Ip Man's holding him, the kid is like head to like his feet are dangling past his waist. I was like, that's a tall and like wide kid.
That's a bigger boy.
Yeah, it's a big. And then in the one scene where he's like, you haven't been eating as much lately. Eat.
I know.
And I was like, that's gonna be a big boy. But yeah, and then him and his lollipop too, like the massive, like almost like what you imagine like the joking like kids from the 20s are like, I have my lollipop.
Yeah, but like showing the little bit of history of just like, especially I shouldn't say especially, I think more recently, because I know we hear a lot about this, and like, all I had was daughters. I have, like, there's no one to have
pick up
like,
my school,
or whatever, and it's just like you could see that it's just like the son got all the favoritism because he's the only son after like the 6th one. And it's just like, man, I know we don't see a lot of his wife, but man, she's in a good mood.
She has plenty of money. She has plenty to do. Like, it's interesting because it's almost, I mean, Ip Man's wife in the first one had like a similar style, had the similar kind of like setup, except they just had the one kid. And now they can't pay rent. Sorry, that was such a wild scene where she's like, don't answer the door. I gave the son the school fees, but don't open the door for the rent lady. Yeah. But then the rent lady is like, you can stay with me because you're about to have a baby.
That, and it's like, you're about to defend China.
Well, that's fair. Yeah, all of China.
Again. But what I was about to say before that thought came into my mind, there was a couple fights. Let's see. There was the big sets, or I guess the main fights. Like, I don't think the first fight when he gets his pupils and all that, I don't think the students, I don't think that really counts, because it's just like boop boop boop. Okay, with it, the best part about that fight was the grandma's like, you're getting wrecked. You got a student.
just give him the money. Just don't be a coward.
She's just like purposely annoying all of them just to be like, come on, you. He's like, you turd. But we have the set piece of the fish market, which it's interesting. Like, I think we see that, and that's like when we get a bunch of, that's kind of when it leads to the first part with the martial artist, and then from there we have the table martial arts test, and then we have, I think there's like another, I can't remember if there's another fight between that and then when Hung fights the hurricane or tornado to Twister. Yeah.
So there's the, I mean, I'm trying to remember the order of the events, because there's also the pupils fighting.
Yeah.
I think between...
The pupils was before the fish market.
Yeah, but I think the only, like, quote-unquote action between him being accepted... Yeah, they have the big street fight because of them throwing the flower pots, because they were doing the whole, don't come to our school, or don't go to that school, bully, racketeering. Yeah. And then that's when they get kicked out and have to go, like you said, like to the playground, essentially.
Yeah.
And then he goes to the playground, like, I got us tickets for a boxing match.
Yeah.
And then Ip Man's like, why did you invite me here? Why are you working with the foreigners? What is happening?
Yeah. And it's like, gets flashbacks of Foshan. But yeah, there's I don't know, that was one of the things, like, okay, I really am curious, like, who was he supposed to fight? Like, who was the Twister supposed to fight in there? Because, like, him fighting Hung was, like, an improv thing.
A volunteer, yeah.
But, like, he was set up to fight somebody else. Like, and we never see what the original fight was. It just, like, cuts to, like, newspapers.
It cuts to everyone arguing with each other about, like, wait, stop being weird. Why are you making fun of us for dancing to show off, like, the introduction ceremony? And he's like, wow, this introduction ceremony is how you guys fight? What a waste of time. I was like, you're not even watching people do, like, combat.
Yeah. It's, yeah, so I was just like, oh no. It's like that whole scene, like, there's a lot of things, like, it's definitely, this movie is like, shut off brain and enjoy. Don't ask
the
a
more
lot
you
of,
the more you think about it.
And so, but yeah, what, I know what fight I like a lot, but
oh yeah, because we did ask this, which one is the favorite
so
fight?
what about you?
I think my favorite fight is the martial arts test, because you get to see all the different styles, and I think it also made the coolest use of props. Because I know there's a lot of props in the fish market, but I was having a hard time suspending my disbelief, like, especially when he has the palette, and he's like, the palette is like floating and spinning and turning for like 5 seconds at a time, and I was like, I know they're slowing time to prove that he's like super fast, but it also feels weird visually when a lot of the other combat doesn't have a lot of the slow, like, I was trying to think of the game, like, what's the one where everyone's like fiery red and you can kind of, like, as long as you don't move, you can figure out what you want to do, but as soon as you start moving, everybody moves. Yeah. I was super like, hot. When did this turn into... I was like, when did this turn into super hot? When all the rest of the movies have basically just been like boom, 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 boom. Where the fish market, I felt like the flow of it was weird and it took a long time. Like, it had cool moments, but it was...
Yeah.
I don't know. It wasn't as...
The fish market scene, like, it was fun. It was cool. What killed it for me was the palette, because where I work, I move pallets a lot, and I was like, Ip Man must be jacked as all get out.
He is Goku.
Yes, because, like, you look at that and you're like, that thing must weigh, like, at most 7 pounds. Dude, those pallets, like, for
they're
what he was...
They're all wood, yeah.
They're all wood. That could easily go between 30 to 40 pounds.
Depending on the size of it,
yeah. Depending on how it's built and everything.
There's
and I'm just like, and he's just like flipping it, like, doo, 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 doo. Like, the one stuff I could see when he was like holding it with 2 hands and just like blocking, pushing,
as
all
a
that
shield.
Stuff. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, once you have it in your hands, yes, that, like, but then he's just like, flip, and he's like, oh, there's knives, I have handles, whoop, boop, and I'm like, no.
You're like, I'm trying to, like, enjoy this, but my brain's not telling me that this is possible.
It's the same thing when anyone gets impaled on something. It's like, don't pull that out.
And then they would, like, slide off of it, and you're like, nah, I didn't want that.
Or it's like, I pull this knife out to fight back, and it's like, well, now you're just gonna bleed out and die.
You're gonna be so tired, you're not gonna actually be able to, like, wield it as a true weapon. Yeah, I agree.
What I did like about the fish market scene was 2 things, where it's just like he takes the knives and, like, he's like just smacking people with it instead of cutting it.
I know, he's like, no, bad child, smeek.
Yeah. And as much as we don't like Jin, it was funny to see Jin's reaction, because I completely forgot he was in the movie. And
I know, and then he comes out and he does all of the moves and goes, okay, guys, no more fighting. Yeah. And it's like,
and then he didn't even do anything. He gets arrested, and it's just like, it seems like it's a common thing where he's just like, no, this wasn't happening. And then Hung's just like, take him to, and he's like, I literally didn't do anything this time.
I didn't cause any injuries.
He's like, I stopped it. He stopped the fight.
And technically, Ip Man did not cause injuries either.
Just really big boo-boos.
A lot of bruises. But for that one guy to be like, your pupil injured me, but he's running around fighting with everybody else. I thought he was going to get impaled on that rusty, like, ladder, and he was going to get, like, tetanus, but no. He was still running around fighting just fine, even though they were waterboarding Ip Man student, and
Yeah.
they went, yeah, this is fine. I was like, no, should have a lot of infections and maybe a lung infection from where you guys had him.
Yeah. Uh, but yes, the fight that does stand out when I thought of Ip Man 2, it is always the table fight.
It's a good fight.
And it is. There are scenes that are a little bit fantastical, but it's just like, I think because the table, from what I can tell, like is just a table on a thing. Like, and it's they have to do that. So like, there's for the most part, like when the table magically splits in half and they land, and then it's like, I respect you. Is like, it's all that, but yeah, it's. Like, I like the setup where he's like, yeah, in our old time, these used to be knives. And it's just like, shut. And I like how he's just saying that. And he's just like, old twitchy man. And just like, it was like, dude, just shut up. Like, and then.
Back in my day.
Back in my day, we didn't have. Anyway, just like, make that joke and go wrong in 80 different directions. But, yeah, I thought that it's just so, like, fun of just seeing all the different techniques and just how they how he does it, and just there's like the whole like flipping the tables and all that stuff, and
the table breaking, and then them standing on the little I think the moment that I knew it was gonna be a good fight is when the first challenger hopped on the little on the balls of his feet, hopped on all the stools to get to the table. I was like, yes, this is fun.
Well, because they make fun of him a little bit. He's like, wow, he just walked up and jumped on.
No style.
Yeah, no style. Yeah. And then it's like,
and then they were all like, oh, but he can fight though.
yeah. And so and then so yeah, that was fun. It's like, and we got to see like other martial arts and stuff where it's just on the Wikipedia it says it here, Hung Chung had Hung Gar, which
oh yeah, they did the whole bit where they're like, you saying your martial arts is better than mine? He's like, no, I'm just saying my student beat up your student. I'm not trying to say something's better than anything else.
Yeah, so I'm trying to. Yeah, so I was like, what is this like? And I was like, in my head, because watching other movies, I was like, is this Tiger Fist style? And like I rolled.
Oh, because he has
like
the clawed hands.
And scrolling down, it's just like, all right, he learned single hard fist, double hard fist, taming the tiger fist, black tiger fist, angry tiger fist. And I'm just like, I'm going to guess that's the tiger one. I believe like one of the guys had the one that like would spin around. I think that was like praying mantis style, but I'm looking through here real quick to see where. Oh no, I think that was monkey kung fu. Oh, there we go. I found it now. I think the first guy. Let's see if I hover over them. Yeah. So I think the guy who was. I'm just looking now. Okay, the second guy, he had a style called. I'm gonna butcher this. Bazuzang, Baguzang, which is he was the one that was like turning slowly and spinning around.
Yeah.
The first
Do
one.
Do they
had
have
the
a translation on the wiki you're looking at, or is there not a translation?
Not that I can see. It's from the Wudang school. Oh, they're more like Tai Chi kind of stuff.
Okay.
So, and then apparently like that leads into like there's like it has this list of modern styles that's there, but so yeah, they had that, and then the other one that was kind of like oh, okay, so yeah, so when I said praying mantis stuff, and it looks like the monkey kung fu is a combination of that and another one, but he was the one that was like kind of wraps himself around and trying to push him off a little bit, but yeah, so it was pretty neat seeing that stuff. Our time's up, but
I figured. Yeah. I saw you look down at your phone. I was like, oh, it must be alarming.
Yeah. So it was fun watching that. But yeah, when I think of Ip Man 2, like Ip Man 1, I think of the 10-man fight scene.
Yeah, that one's really iconic.
Yeah, I pretty much the whole series I think of that. And then with this one, it's definitely that table fight. Like the Cyclone fight is no, Cyclone, sorry, different person. The Twister.
Every word but Twister, because
Yeah.
earlier you were like Hurricane.
Yeah. Well, Cyclone is from another one of his movies, not in the Ip Man series, but it's a different character that I just recently watched. But yeah, he like it's fun, but it's very much like, okay, the armor muscle man, like you're only fighting him for revenge, but it's not for revenge. But there's a certain fight scene in the third one that I know is in the third one. So,
Okay.
that I remember. I think it's really fun. But if I remember correctly, I'll say this now because it's been almost 10 years since I watched the Ip Man movies. I believe the third movie, because I haven't watched the fourth, is I believe it kind of what we were talking about that we didn't like, where it's like, okay, they kind of spread themselves out a little bit of what they want to focus on, because there is time between the release of Ip Man 1 and 2 and 3. Let me check right here. Ip Man 3 comes out in 2015. Well, Ip Man 2 was 2010, and Ip Man 1 was 2008. Excuse me. So there's a couple, like, and he does do a couple different movies in between there. So from what I remember, I think I believe his cinematography gets not a little bit better, but like he just everything that he like. I think there's a little bit. The shots are kind of like how the fight was, but this writing, the reason for the problem, I think, is a little bit more just one, rather than like, here's multiple things that we gotta worry and stress out about, from what I remember. So we'll see how well my memory is. I think I'm redeeming myself a little bit with my memory compared to the last time I trusted it for movies. But yeah, we're at the halfway point of our movies, and then we get the next one.
Well, for your birthday movies.
For birthday movies, and then we get Hop's birthday movies. An early spoiler. What? Anyway, I believe that is it for today. So thank you everybody for watching, listening, eating. I don't know what you guys do.
Breathing.
Yeah, breathing's good. Make sure you breathe.
And drink water.
I should. But yes, thank you everyone for checking us out. Ip Man 3 will be next week, and we got nothing else, so we'll see y'all next time. Bye.